Welcome to the PawnSacrifice channel for what I think is now episode 18 of the 94S build, and this week is going to be about getting the bottom of the engine sealed up and the clutch in and then the engine bolted into place and seeing if everything fits. First of all though, one thing I thought I should probably do is run through and have a look, and I need to start now thinking about the jobs as they're coming and what I've got to do. So, my list. Right, exhaust system. I think the Dansk system that was fitted to this, the aftermarket one, I think that's 2.5 inch. I'm going to measure that and hopefully I'll get away with just repiping some of that and from the midsection forwards. The oil catch can, which I need to work out, no idea what that does and where that goes. Expansion tank for the coolant system, coolant takeoff to connect the engine to the water pump. Oil cooler, dog bone engine mount at the back. I may have a look at that and see how we go. Turbo rebuild for the 225 TT turbo. I'm not sure how much of that I've filmed because I've already done an episode. It should be the same. Throttle body, the coolant system as in the water coolant, the air cooling from the intercooler and blah blah blah. Brake booster, I'm going to need to refit that slightly because of all the stuff that I've moved off the front of the engine, off the firewall. Yeah, that'll need to be done. Then wire up all the lines and everything else. The clutch release, so the slave there, alternator mounting, fit the clutch, wiring loom and ECU, so continuity testing the wiring loom, and then with the ECU I think I'm probably going to get an aftermarket one. I've got a de-immobilised standard one, but I think with all the changes it's just going to throw a massive fit, and it's quite difficult to get people to tune those. Fuses for the engine, all of the vacuum lines, that's going to be a mystery. Fuel pump, the radiator fan for everything that's in now in place there nicely, the intake system, and the windscreen washer, so that I can get through an MOT. Not the most exciting bit, but fairly critical. So that's the list of things that I need to do. I'm sure I've missed something and I'll have things I need to add on, but for now let's just get started and see about getting this engine put together. Okay, as mentioned, the first thing I'm going to do is fit the clutch. Hadn't done this previously just because the amount the engine was going in and out. I didn't want to damage the clutch plate and also make my life more difficult, just trying to line everything up there with the torque tube. So these have just sort of gone on loosely rather than properly torqued, so I'll just whiz these off. Right, so I should probably just explain the clutch saga. So this is a solid mass flywheel and clutch kit, so essentially the pressure plate from a Mark IV Golf GTI, and what I've had to do with that is get a Ford 2.8, so I've picked the biggest engine that I could, V6 friction plate, and that essentially has been needed because it fits onto the torque tube, whereas the Golf one, the splines aren't correct, so that doesn't actually fit on there. Right, so this is a bit of a first for me. I've got a universal clutch fitting kit. I've never done this before, so this is going to be a little bit of a voyage of discovery. Hopefully I'll get this right. Essentially the way that this works, and I've looked at this just now, so hopefully I've got this right, is you get the one end that fits in that side. Let me just check and make sure that that's the best. Oh no. Okay, don't push it all the way through. That is a snug fit, but lesson learned, you can push it through. Luckily I was able to get the thread on there. The problem is with these is if you don't get it in right, you end up having to take the flywheel off. After that little scare there, me thinking I'd lost something inside, let's have a look, and so that one seems to fit, and then stop, which is good. On the clutch plate side, it's similar story, so it's just finding the right one that fits in there snugly and doesn't move around all over the place. So I think it must be, what you can get are the correct tools for this, but I think because of the mishmash of different parts, you're going to end up having to use one of these anyway. So let's have a look here, that, and so that there is my position. Okay. Side and top. Right, I need to have a look and see what I need to torque these to. Okay, I've had a look and it says 22 or 25 depending on the car. Obviously this being a bit of a mix up of bits, I'm going to go with 23.5. It won't do any harm either way. So okay, done. And hopefully I won't be needing this for a while. This is one of these jobs, like so much of this, where it's a bit frustrating because I'm not going to know if I've done everything right until I get the car going, but looking at that, it all looks nicely lined up. Right, I now need to pop the gasket off, just ready for the new one to go on. I had left it on there just to help with sizing of everything. And the other thing which I'm going to do, which might seem a bit OTT, is just use this threading tool, this tap, to go around all of the threads and just make sure that they're all nice and clean, ready for the new bolts to go in. Okay, so everything now should be nice and clean under there, all the way around the surface and also the holes as well. What I don't want to do is get to any of those, be trying to tighten the bolts up and then find there's a problem. So next thing to look at is the sump. So I've based the gasket. So I've got a gasket that's also got a windage tray built into it, and this is designed so that it doesn't with the crank at the bottom, it doesn't froth the oil up. So like this. There you go. Rather handsome, intricate design that's got in terms of the way that it's made to let the oil come through. So if we have a look under here, this is very upsetting. I think what I'm going to have to do then is look at just cutting this so that it fits, which is not something I really want to do, but I don't know that I've got much choice. So what I'm going to try is just taking a little corner off of there. Yeah, where that's curved over, but that's flat anyway, so I'm going to see if I can just trim it down enough to get it in position. Okay, so that's just been trimmed off a little down there to get it to fit, and I've just got the flat disc there just to get rid of any nasty little bits that might come off, because I don't want little shards of metal flying around inside the engine. Right, final bit here before I can get these bolted up is that hole, and that is there to accommodate the oil return connection for the turbo. So I just need to get this bolted on. I bought this as part of a kit, and it's got a couple of washers on there which have got a, I don't know if you can see that, just a seal, just a rubber seal, obviously just clamp on either side. I've not got any torque settings for this, didn't come with anything, so I'm just going to do it tight. That went on reasonably okay. The reason that I'm looking like this is I'm a bit down about this now again, and it's my own fault, it's my own silly mistake. That should be attaching the sump to the engine, and it's not. The reason it's not is because I've been a complete idiot and I have put the oil return for the turbo too close to where that's supposed to go through, and therefore it doesn't fit. I'm going to have a look and see if I can get a normal bolt in there. If not, what I am going to do, and this is going to make me sound like a total cowboy, is I'm just going to see if it works, if it holds, or see what happens when it turns over. I'm probably going to have to remake the sump, which obviously I don't want to do at the moment. So the plan now is just to get on with this and get everything built, get the engine working, and as long as it doesn't start throwing out oil by the gallon, and I can get it running. If it is leaking, then obviously it needs to be redone. But what I'd like to do is get everything working, see where there are any potential problems and things that I need to fix, because I'm going to be pulling the engine again once it is running and once I've got it going, just so that I can then finish and tidy up everything in the engine bay. What I don't want to do is do it once, everything work, and then have to start remodding the engine bay or something like that. So that's where I'm now. Anyway, I need to get on with the bell housing and get that in place. Time to reassemble the bell housing and put everything back together. First of all is the sleeve which guides the torque tube through. Nice and tight with a bit of Loctite on there as well. And now I just need to get the clutch release plate back in. All good there. Okay, this isn't all wired up yet, but I'm going to log the clutch thingy back on. Okay, so that's everything bolted back up and on clutch sleeve and water outlet from the engine. Not entirely sure, can't remember where all of that goes, but I'll worry about that later. This may have to come straight off again. I'm just using it to see how I'm doing for spacing. Likewise, where I've cut the hole or cut that section off the back of the engine, that may or may not just get blanked off. I'm not doing it now in case I need to modify anything slightly. I've got a bit of RTV which is going to go on here. That's not to hold it in place, it's just to help dampen any rattles or vibrations that come through. Everything will be held on with the bolts. So time to get this lowered down and yeah, get everything in. Right, this felt like the video that was never going to happen because of illness and work commitments and running around all over the place. It's just been a massive delay, so apologies for how long it's taken to get this one out. But the clutch now sorted, the bottom of the sump and everything is on, although I'm still a bit worried about the bolt on there, as I explained, so we'll see whether I have to come back to that or not. But it's now bolted to the cross member and to the torque tube, and it's sitting just right. As you can see from the underside here, the clearance is there as I needed it to be, and the clearance to the back of the engine bay as well. So this is really good. It's actually better than I was expecting. Despite building the jig and everything, I was slightly worried that where things were going to settle wouldn't be quite where I needed them to be, and it's been a bit anxious about that, but this is really good news, really good news. So I need to work out what I'm going to tackle next, probably get back to trying to do the old water pump takeoff. So we'll see, but yeah, sorry for today, and thanks for watching, and hopefully catch you next time. Cheers.